Hot news today.
Austria reels from national tragedy after gunman kills 10 at former school. Chancellor says nation's deadliest post-war mass shooting is a dark day in the history of our country. Austria will hold 3 days of national mourning after a 21-year-old man shot dead 8 pupils and an adult at his old high school and injured several others before turning his weapon on himself. A 10th victim who had been in a critical condition subsequently died, local media reported on Tuesday evening. 11 others were being treated in local hospitals for injuries sustained in the attack. Visibly moved at a media conference, the Chancellor, Christian Stocker, announced a minute's silence for 10 a.m. on Wednesday to start the period of mourning for the victims of Austria's deadliest post-war mass shooting. The attack on Tuesday morning in the southern city of Graz was a dark day in the history of our country, an act of unimaginable violence and a national tragedy that has shocked us all, he said. The Interior Minister, Gerhard Karner, said 6 of the victims who died at the scene were female and 3 male. He said the presumed shooter, a former pupil at the school who had left before graduating, had acted alone and was among the dead. The mayor of Graz, Elke Kar, had earlier said that an adult, thought to be a teacher at the school, was among the fatalities. The gunman opened fire in 2 classrooms, one of which had once been his own, soon after 10 a.m. local time, 0900 BST. Police gave the all-clear about 90 minutes later, after a major security operation involving a special forces unit and several helicopters. A police spokesperson told reporters the suspect was a 21-year-old Austrian national who was armed with 2 weapons that he owned legally, and had no criminal record. His name has not been released. Everything else, and many other things have been speculated about at this point in time, is simply speculation, the Interior Minister told reporters, adding that no further details would be announced because of the active police investigation. Out of consideration for family members, only reliable information will be released to the public, Karner said. He said nothing concrete could yet be said about the possible motive of the gunman. Citing police sources, the Courier and Salzburger Nachrichten newspapers said the gunman was carrying 2 weapons, a pistol and a shotgun, one of them recently acquired. Police said he had been found dead in a school bathroom. Pupils and staff were evacuated from the 400-pupil Borg Dreierschützengasse High School in Graz, and the building was thoroughly searched. Students and families were taken care of by crisis intervention teams at a nearby sports hall. The area around the school was cordoned off and public transport was diverted, with all streets around the school guarded by armed police. A Red Cross spokesperson said 160 responders attended the scene, including emergency doctors and paramedics. Stocker said earlier in a statement there were no words for the pain and grief all of us in Austria are feeling. He added, "Today it's all about compassion. And about being there for one another. In these difficult times, humanity is our strongest force." Austria's president, Alexander van der Bellen, said, "What happened today strikes our country at the heart. These were young people who had their whole lives ahead of them. A teacher who accompanied them on their journey. Nothing could ease the pain felt by the parents, grandparents, siblings, and friends of the murdered people at this moment," he said, adding that the country stood together to withstand this pain, together. Austrians own an estimated 30 firearms for every 100 people, making the country one of the most heavily armed civilian populations in Europe. Machine guns and pump-action guns are banned, but revolvers, pistols and semi-automatic weapons are allowed with official authorization, and rifles and shotguns with a firearms license, a valid hunting license, or for members of shooting clubs. Mass shootings, however, are rare. In 2020, 4 people were killed and 22 injured in a gun attack by a convicted jihadist in Vienna. In November 1997, a 36-year-old mechanic shot dead 6 people in the town of Moderndorf before killing himself. Kar, the Graz mayor, described the shooting as a terrible tragedy. The Vienna mayor, Michael Ludwig, urged Austrians to stand together as a society, adding, "Hate and violence must never gain the upper hand. Our response to this must be an even stronger commitment to solidarity and respect." Several European leaders expressed their condolences on Tuesday. The EU's foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, said she was deeply shocked, adding that every child should feel safe at school and be able to learn free from fear and violence. The president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said schools should be symbols of youth, hope and the future, adding, "It's hard to bear when schools become places of death and violence." Germany's Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, posted, "Horrific news from Graz. Our thoughts are with our Austrian friends and neighbors and we mourn with them." Hungary's Prime Minister, Viktor Orbán, said his thoughts were with the victims' families.
Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.